Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! We fostered a really sweet and affectionate 2-year-old cat for a few weeks before she was adopted by a family, and we took her over on a Monday. She seemed to be happy and relaxed there. I started getting calls from the entitled mother saying that the cat was acting strange and all itchy like she had a skin issue. She sent me a video of the cat rolling around on the ground being cute and playful. Perfectly normal cat behavior. The entitled mother kept texting me about stuff that was totally normal cat behavior, like rubbing her face on things to mark them with her scent. My explanation didn't seem to satisfy Karen. Psycho Dad called me on Thursday afternoon to demand that I come over. Why? Because they needed me to put the cat in her carrier to take her to the vet to find out what was wrong with her. I politely texted him, "Hi, please send an email to address x@catrescue.org with your concerns about our cat and she will advise accordingly. Thanks." And that's when things got real. At 11:30 p.m. that night, my phone started blowing up with phone calls, text messages, and even FaceTime requests from that Psycho Dad and entitled mother's phones. They were demanding that I come and get the cat. 9 calls, texts, and FaceTimes, guys, all of which I ignored. I know this because I documented it all for the restraining order. On Friday morning, I got another call, but this time this Psycho Dad left a threatening voicemail, which I have professionally transcribed. By the way, I'm Asian, but I grew up here.
It's funny that now you've disappeared. I don't know where you're from, but I'm going to mess up your life, you jerk. Alright, I will mess up your life and ruin all your business. And I'm resourceful, and I can do it. You gave us a mentally sick cat. Mentally sick. It screams all day long, screams all night long, non-stop. Not because of food, not because of attention, not because of anything. She's just abused. She's been abused, okay? I don't mind taking care of an abused cat, but I don't know that I had a monster. This is a monster. My kids didn't sleep. They have tests in the morning, and you just painted like the rosiest picture with your stupid hair. If I was not ill, I would have strangled you, you jerk.
Once again, all documented for the restraining order. Also, if you're going to leave a cat locked in a tiny bathroom for 4 days straight, definitely she's going to meow a bit. And that's when I sent my one and only reply: please do not contact me again. Please work with catrescue.org to resolve any issues you may have. Thank you. A fairly tame response given that I have been threatened, don't you think? He sent a threatening text and called me a jerk. Well, after all this, the entitled mother dropped off the cat at a vet associated with the rescue group where the kitty spent the night, and now she's back at our house. The vet came out and spoke to me when I picked up the cat, and the vet was so angry at this family because the cat is super sweet. Anyway, this family has now been banned from the agency, and word has been spread around the foster and adoption agencies to steer clear from them. I've also filed a restraining order against them. Overall, it wasn't the best thing to witness, but at least the karma that flourished that day was so damn satisfying. It all started in a store. I went there with my husband to pick up a few things before we headed back home from work. He normally picks me up from my workplace and we head home together. We entered the store, my husband picked a cart and we started pushing it into the detergent aisle. As we approached some shelves, I noticed a nice-looking girl wearing sunglasses and carrying a cane waiting around by the end of the aisle. It didn't take me long before I realized that, well, she can't see. She was in fact blind. At this point, I didn't know if she was doing her own shopping or waiting for someone there, but as I was ready to keep wondering about all of that, my husband's voice brought me back to the present and asked me if I found what I came to this aisle for. So, I refocused on my mission and started looking for our detergent. Then all of a sudden, a Karen-looking banshee walks into the aisle, passes a blind girl, gives her a stink look on her way, then tries to reach out for a certain product on a higher shelf. She was too short to easily do that, and it was obvious for us both that this wasn't going to end well. And before my husband could go offer to help her get her product down from up there, the detergent bottle she was after fell over and spilled all over the floor. Surprisingly, the sound of the bottle hitting the floor was way louder than I thought, and clearly it attracted a nearby store worker. The worker arrived, took a look at the liquid spilled all over the floor, then looked up to Karen, asked to ask her what happened, who was responsible for this, and he didn't really say anything out loud, but it was clear what he was confused about. But before the guy could say anything, Karen went from being hesitant a bit to extremely sharp. She raised her head as if she got a brilliant idea, pointed her mad gaze at the poor blind girl, and she raised her finger towards her, then started yelling that this stupid girl was the one that knocked over the detergent and created this entire mess. It wasn't hard for the worker to actually believe this, as it was kinda obvious that the girl is blind and that she could have knocked that over by mistake due to her condition. It actually makes sense. Then she decided to take this tirade to another level by grabbing the girl's arm in a way that apparently hurt the girl and caused her a lot of pain. She was yelling that she will help the worker drag her butt to the manager's office so they could charge her properly for what she screwed up. Then I decided to finally speak up and tell the worker that this trash of a woman was the one responsible for knocking that detergent bottle over, and that the poor girl had absolutely nothing to do with the mess on the floor. I yelled at her directly to let go of her arm, as she was clearly hurting a disabled person for no reason whatsoever. It seemed that yelling at her triggered a much worse reaction in her little rat brain, and she again decided to direct her rage toward the poor girl in her captivity, accusing her of faking being blind and that she was the one responsible for all of that mess. Then she looked at me and screamed, "What? Did she really fool you with these pathetic sunglasses she's wearing? How naive could you be? You know what? Observe." Then she reached out with her hands and grabbed the girl's glasses. Then she told me, "Look, do these eyes look blind to you? Pathetic." She then snapped the blind girl's sunglasses in half, threw them on the floor, then turned around to leave. By the way, I forgot to mention that this Mac Karen was actually wearing glasses herself. Normal ones, and the reason I decided to mention that little detail is that I felt that you needed to know that these were the last moments of her wearing those exact glasses ever. Because as she turned around to leave the scene, she was violently met with a stunning fist to her right eye that smashed these glasses of hers into little shreds and sent her body flying to the shelves behind her, while most of the products fell over her and gave her a nice cleanup. The irony was insane at that moment. I mean, a filthy person like that needed an entire shelf of detergents to clean them up. Hilarious. And yeah, turned out the golden fist came from the blind girl's mama bear. She was clearly outside the store when all that happened and only came back to find her daughter being assaulted by this trash of a human being. As I learned later, after she got into the store with her daughter earlier, she realized that she had forgotten her purse in her car, asked her girl to wait around this spot till she ran back to the car, grabbed her purse and came back really quick. Of course, police were called and well, an ambulance too, since Karen was clearly knocked out under this big pile of detergent bottles. CCTV footage was pulled out and the cops took our statements regarding what actually happened as witnesses. Karen then was cleared by the paramedics, and we started to hear her loud voice shrieking from a couple of aisles away, then eventually saw her getting dragged in handcuffs outside the store and to the back of a police car. The blind girl was in no way in a good condition and her mother seemed to have slight pain in her knuckles, but thankfully, it didn't seem serious. After the cops left, she actually approached me and my husband and thanked us for sticking up for her daughter, and that she's angry enough to pursue this woman's butt to the very end till she makes sure she's behind bars for a long time. I really wish them both the best and hope the poor girl will shake off this horrible experience as soon as she can. So basically, my town pool, they have 3 pools. There is a swimming pool, which was for lap swimming, water polo, and all of those games. The second was the smallest, known as a baby pool. Since you had to be 4 to go into the swimming pool, the toddlers were allowed to play in a small, easily watchable toddler pool. The final pool is where the situation went down, the splash pool. This pool was full of cool blue and white structures with sprayed out water. It was the only pool that accepted water gun use, although there was peace time twice per day, toddler time and the first hour of opening. First hour of opening is self-explanatory, but toddler time was when parents could allow their little ones to play with the fear of them being caught in a crossfire. During wars, it was typically two clans which took up territory and role-played total destruction. My little brother and I usually got a good set of clansmen due to the fact we always carry big double-barreled shotguns like sprayers. Even more the day of the encounter, my friend was with us, using a big Super Soaker AR with multiple firing types. We had another clansman with a basic pistol, but I played with him before and he had good tactics. On the other clan were two kids, Kid 1 and Kid 2. With some pretty cool Super Soakers. They needed some more people, so when two kids, entitled kid and entitled friend, came from the swimming pool, they handed them some basic foam push guns. Due to its soft padding, it was also used as a baton for close quarters combat, and it was always a good complementary weapon when used correctly. Of course, with our pistol-wielding clansmen, we ditched the batons. The war started and almost immediately, the entitled kid and friend charged at us with their guns baton style. The entitled friend was shot in the face and started screaming. His friend got hit as well and stopped trying to call a timeout. Their clansmen came from behind them confused. "Who shot me?" the entitled friend asks. My friend tells him, "Me." "Why did you call a timeout?" "Because you shot my friend in the face." The entitled kid tells him. Little brother tells him, "Why wasn't he wearing goggles? It's his fault if he didn't." "Shut up! You guys are stupid little jerks with your stupid guns." He started hitting my brother with his gun and Kid 1 and Kid 2 yanked it and the entitled kid's guns away. Kid 1 says, "You guys are terrible at this game, go away." Kid 2 says, "You guys are also mean. We don't want babies." The entitled friend walked out of the pool and the kid who got hit still crying, and they walked back toward the swimming pool. We started setting up a game with 3 teams of 2. Before we started, a woman's voice yelled at us. We looked in the direction of the voice to see a fat, sluggish woman with the entitled friend and the entitled kid in tow. It was the entitled kid's mom. "Who hurt my son and his friend?" I tell her no one. They should have been wearing goggles if they didn't want to get hit in the face. "What do you mean? Why would my son be hit in the first place?" "Well, we were playing with our water guns, and they were on a team and were shot. That's the point of the whole game." "No, he's lying. They shot us when we were minding our own business." Kid 1 says, "Hey, that's not true. You guys were playing." The entitled mother interrupts with, "You think it's funny to attack my son? Give me your weapon now." She tried grabbing for my gun and my little brother just sprayed her. "You brat, touch me." I tell her stay back. I started thinking of the worst thing I could say and found a good word. "Stay back, you witch." "Excuse me?" "That's it. Where are your parents?" "They aren't here. They dropped us off. Leave us be or I'll spray you again." "Wow, your parents aren't here to chaperone in a pool. That's very dangerous. I will call the police because I guess you are being neglected by them." She thought she had won until she saw what me and my friend were doing. We were, on purpose, playing rock, paper, scissors. "What are you doing?" "We're playing a game." "No, you're insulting me." The entitled mother started trudging in the water and was sprayed again by my little brother. She got up close to him and started yanking the gun away from him. Some nearby men started screaming at her, telling her to stop. She ignored them until the whistle was blown. She looked at the man, seeing him with his shirt off and ripped pants which said lifeguard and a whistle in his mouth. "Oh, help me! These violent children are attacking me." He tells her, "No, they were playing with their guns. Toddler time was 1 hour ago, so there is no reason they can't play. And your boys did agree to play. I'm asking you to leave the pool right now." "No, that's not fair." The lifeguard walked over to his chair and grabbed a walkie-talkie. He called for the pool management staff too, then a minute later he was there, with 2 other lifeguards, forcing them to pick up their items, and they then kicked them out. We found 2 new kids to play with us and continued our war until closing time. My grandfather left me his old car when he passed away. It's a convertible 1968 Dodge Dart. It was beautiful. I loved riding around in it when I was a kid. My grandfather loved that car. We used to work on it together. My brother was annoyed when I got that car and he felt that he should have gotten it. I'm sure he would have sold it. He inherited cash. In July, he asked me to borrow the car for a road trip. I said no, and he begged that he had a girl he wanted to impress, and I, again, said no. He got our parents involved and we are both adult men in our 30s, but he is their favorite. They said I was being a jerk and that he should be allowed to borrow my car. I said I would do it on a condition that he wrote me a bill of sale for his car. It's just a 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee. I said that if I got my car back in the same condition as I lent it out, then we could tear out the bill of sale. I guess that you can imagine the dumbass had no idea how that old car handled. It's a boat, plus it had a manual transmission, and if you floor it you can watch the fuel gauge go down. He lost control of it and sideswiped the mountain. He had to get it towed back. He, very empathetically, did not impress the girl. I took the car to a mechanic for an estimate. You don't wanna know. I told my brother that he just bought himself a car. I made up a bill of sale and sold it to him for $1. I then went and registered my new Jeep. My Dart wasn't my daily driver. I have a truck and my wife has a car. But I loved working on my Dart with my kids. She's young, but it was going to be hers one day. Well, now she has a Jeep Grand Cherokee. My brother is livid because he used his inheritance to buy it for cash. My parents are pissed off that I would be like this to their poor, injured baby boy. I'm furious that I don't have my car anymore. My parents and brother came over to yell at me for stealing his car. I told them to call the cops. We could let them sort this out. Probably bad timing that my daughter pulled up in her new car at that moment. My family has been calling me about it. And as soon as I tell them what he did to my Dart, they are on my side. So, am I the jerk here? And now some comments on this post. Someone saying, no, you are smart, you had an idea what might happen, and now you own a Jeep. Sucks for your brother that he's a bad driver. Of course, you shouldn't have let your brother touch your car in the first place. And if he wasn't used to using a clutch, who knows what it would cost to get a 55-year-old clutch fixed? But you bowed to family pressure, and here you all are, the owner of a Jeep. Again, it sucks for your brother, not that jerk. Another commenter adds, here would be how I would frame this. Regarding talking to your parents, if they texted, left voicemails, emailed and so on, print everything off and put the voicemails onto a recording. Hand them the evidence and start a discussion about how they stuck their nose into the transaction, so they are as much or more to blame than your brother. Same with your brother knew the conditions, he signed the document, and there aren't take-backs on this type of behavior. I would in both conversations tell them if the car is restored back to the same condition, you will then reassess the situation. But until this occurs, not your problem, not the jerk. Side note, now will be the perfect time to tell your fam you plan to take a cross-country trip with a Jeep. A third commenter goes with, hey buddy, Chryslers with a manual transmission are worse than mint. I'm not up for convertibles, but I would love to have a 68 Dart with a stick. I don't think they handle like boats, but I can see where you'd think they would if you're not used to old cars. I'm sorry that happened. If you could watch the gas go down, it must have had a V8, probably a 273, maybe a 340, but if it was 383, your brother is the worst. At least you won't have to remove the engine to change the spark plugs on the passenger side.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.